If you believe every child deserves to feel safe and protected, please like this video and comment below. Your support helps us share stories that matter and bring awareness to the silent signals children send when they have no other way to ask for help. An 8-year-old boy tapped his wrist 3 times in a busy diner, a signal most people would never recognize. But 5 bikers noticed. And what they did next not only saved his life, but blew the lid off something far darker hiding in plain sight. No one imagined what would come next. Colton Stone Hargrove had been riding with the Iron Ridge MC for 11 years, ever since he came back from his second tour in Iraq with a Purple Heart, a shoulder full of shrapnel, and a silence he couldn't explain to anyone who hadn't been there. The motorcycle club, made up entirely of combat veterans, had given him something no prescription could: brotherhood, structure, and a reason to keep going. On this particular Saturday evening in Knoxville, Tennessee, Stone and 4 of his brothers, Eli Diesel Reeves, Marcus Ghost Tanner, Ray Bolt Okafor, and Pete Chaplin Norwood, had stopped at May's Corner Diner after a fundraiser ride for a local veteran shelter. They were road-tired, starving, and looking forward to hot coffee and something that wasn't gas station food. May's was the kind of place that hadn't changed in 40 years. Cracked leather stools at the counter, handwritten pie specials on a chalkboard, Merle Haggard drifting from a corner speaker. On Saturday nights it hummed with families, truckers, and regulars who all knew each other's orders. The 5 bikers settled into a large corner booth, their patches and riding gear drawing the usual looks, a beat of caution before people went back to their meals. What most people in Mays didn't know: Diesel had been a combat engineer. Ghost was a former Army intelligence analyst. Bolt had been a Navy corpsman who'd pulled men out of burning vehicles. Chaplin had served as a Marine chaplain in Fallujah. They'd all come home carrying weight no one else could see. Stone was wrapping his hands around a mug of black coffee when he noticed the family in the booth diagonal from theirs. A woman, early 30s, dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled back too tight. A man beside her, late 40s, broad-shouldered with a gold watch and the easy smile of someone used to being in charge. And between them, pressed against the window as though trying to occupy as little space as possible, a little boy, maybe 8, with sandy hair, a striped shirt, and eyes that scan the room the way kids' eyes aren't supposed to. Something felt wrong. Stone couldn't name it. Just a frequency, like a radio picking up interference. He watched the man lean close to the boy and say something. The boy's shoulders came up to his ears. His face went still, not calm, but controlled. Like a small person who had learned to disappear. "You picking up on that?" Stone said quietly, eyes on his coffee. Diesel glanced over without turning his head. "The table by the window." "Yeah." The ghost had already clocked it. Kids holding his breath. Look at his hands under the table. Bolt kept his voice low. Mother hasn't looked up in 5 minutes. They watched as the waitress, a stout woman with a name tag that said June, came over to take the family's order. The man ordered for everyone. When June asked the little boy directly if he wanted chocolate milk or regular, the man spoke before the child could open his mouth. "He'll have water. He doesn't need sugar." The boy's jaw tightened. Quick, then gone. He was good at hiding what he felt. Too good. That kind of control in an 8-year-old gets built one hard lesson at a time. Stone felt the familiar tightening in his chest. He'd seen this before, not in Iraq, but after. In the faces of families at the VA, in the children of men who brought the war home in ways nobody talked about. "We should do something," Bolt said. "What exactly?" Ghost asked. "We've got a bad feeling and a kid who looks nervous. That's not probable cause." "It doesn't need to be probable cause," Stone said. "It just needs to be enough to pay attention." They kept watching. The food came. The man cut the boy's food without asking, then made a comment about the way the boy was sitting. The boy straightened immediately, robotically. The woman ate with her eyes down. Nobody at that table was at dinner. They were enduring it. Then it happened. The little boy turned slowly, like he was just stretching his neck, and swept the room. His eyes landed on the Iron Ridge MC table. 5 large men in leather, watching quietly. The boy held eye contact with Stone for a breath. 2 breaths. Then he lifted his left hand to the table, palm flat. He tapped his wrist 3 times with 2 fingers. Stone's body went cold. Did he just? Diesel started. 3 taps on the wrist, Ghost said, voice tight. That's the safe touch signal. They're teaching it in schools now. It means he's not safe. The boy held Stone's gaze one more second, then put his hand back under the table and looked at his plate. The man hadn't noticed. The woman hadn't noticed. The whole diner hadn't noticed. But 5 veterans trained to register threat signals at a glance had seen every bit of it. Now they had to move. "We can't escalate here," Ghost said immediately. "Any confrontation and that man grabs the kid and walks." "I'm doing a loop to the restroom," Stone said. "Give me 30 seconds." He stood and took a slow route past the family's booth. The man had his forearm resting on the table, fingers curled loosely, but his leg was pressed against the boy's, pinning him to the window seat. The woman's hand was trembling slightly around her fork. The boy sat so still he looked like a photograph. As Stone passed, the boy looked up. His eyes said everything words couldn't. In the restroom, Stone called Denise Calloway, a licensed family advocate and longtime friend of the Iron Ridge MC, who'd helped them set up the Veterans Shelter fundraiser. He laid it out in 45 seconds. The family. The signal. Body language. Denise didn't hesitate. "I'm 20 minutes away. I have my credentials. Do not let them leave." Stone returned to the booth with a plan. "We've got 20 minutes, he told his brothers. "We need that family sitting down when Denise gets here." Bolt was already thinking, "I'll handle it." He waited for the right moment, when June was refilling waters nearby, then stood up from their booth and moved toward the restroom. As he passed the family's table, he caught his boot on the edge of the aisle mat and went down hard, catching the family's table with both hands. Glasses slid, ice water went across the table, and into the man's lap. "Lord, I am so sorry," Bolt said, already grabbing napkins from the dispenser. "I'm a walking disaster, I swear. Please, let me, June." "June," Can we get some towels over here? The man stood halfway, face darkening, but the diner had turned to look. He sat back down and forced a chuckle. It's fine. Forget it. Absolutely not, Bolt said firmly, waving June over. Whatever they're having, it's on us. I am so sorry. He gave June a look, a small nod toward the family, and June, who had been watching that table herself all evening, understood immediately. Don't you worry, hun, June said to the woman. I'll have fresh plates out at 10. The man couldn't leave without creating a scene. The delay was bought. Stone watched the boy during the commotion. The kid was sharp. He tracked Bolt's fall, tracked the eye contact between Bolt and Stone, and a tiny, barely there look passed over his face. He understood. He pressed his lips together and looked at his plate, but his shoulders had dropped half an inch. Denise Calloway arrived in 18 minutes. She was 51, silver-haired, with the unhurried confidence of a woman who had walked into difficult rooms her entire career. She wore slacks and a cardigan, nothing institutional, nothing threatening. Stone met her at the door. Booth by the left window, he said quietly. The boy is approximately 8. He used the wrist tap signal twice. The man is controlling all communication. The mother is shut down. Denise nodded once. Back me up at the perimeter. Don't come in unless I signal. She walked to the family's booth with a warm, easy smile. Hi there. Sorry to interrupt your dinner. I'm Denise Calloway. I'm a family services advocate working with the county tonight. I just happened to notice your little one. What's his name? The man's smile thinned. Why? Oh, no particular reason, Denise said lightly. He's just the spitting image of my nephew. What's your name, sweetheart? The boy looked at the man first, a fast, fearful check, before answering. Noah. Noah. That's a great name. Hey, Noah, I do these little check-ins with kids when I'm out and about. Takes 2 minutes. Would it be okay if I borrowed him for just a second, right over there? She gestured to the empty counter stools near the register. He's fine right here, the man said. Absolutely, Denise said pleasantly. Although, I will say, our protocol does require that kids answer a couple questions without parents present. It's just so they don't feel like they need to give any particular answer, you know? 2 minutes. She smiled at the woman. Mom, that's okay with you. The woman glanced at the man. He stared at Denise for a long moment, calculating. His jaw shifted. Fine, he said. 2 minutes. Noah, Denise said gently, extending her hand. Want to come pick out which kind of pie you want? My treat. Noah looked at the man one last time. Then he slid off the bench seat and took Denise's hand. They sat at the counter. Stone positioned himself casually by the jukebox, close enough to move if needed. Ghost and Chaplin shifted to cover the room's sightlines. Denise set a small children's menu in front of Noah as cover. Then she leaned close and spoke softly. Noah, I need to tell you something real quick, okay? Those men over there, they saw what you did with your hand. The tapping. She tapped her own wrist gently. Do you know what I'm talking about? Noah's chin started to tremble. He nodded without looking up. Are you safe at home? A pause. Then the smallest shake of his head. Is it the man you're with tonight? Noah's eyes filled. He said if I told anyone, he'd make Mom go away somewhere. He said I'd never see her again. What's his name? Gary. Noah swallowed. Gary Moss. He says he works for the government and he can do anything he wants. Denise's expression didn't change, but her hand found Noah's and squeezed once. Noah, I need you to be really brave for about 3 more minutes. Can you do that? He nodded, wiping his eye quickly with his sleeve. Good boy. From across the diner, Stone saw Gary Moss rise from the booth. Stone was already moving. He stepped smoothly into Moss's path near the counter. Hey, friend, restrooms back that way if you need it. Moss looked up at him. At 6 feet 2 inches and wearing an Iron Ridge MC cut, Stone didn't need to raise his voice. That's my son over there. Stepson, Stone said calmly. And the advocate's almost done. Moss's eyes narrowed. How did you know he wasn't my biological? Lucky guess, Stone said. Why don't you head back to the table? It wasn't a question. Moss's nostrils flared. He looked past Stone to where Denise sat with Noah, and at that moment Denise stood, placed herself between Moss and the child, and addressed the room with a steady voice. My name is Denise Calloway. I am a licensed family advocate with county credentials. I have conducted a brief interview with this child and I have reasonable grounds to initiate emergency protective contact. Noah will be coming with me tonight. Moss's face went white, then red. You can't, on the basis of what? A 2-minute conversation. On the basis of what Noah told me, combined with documented behavioral indicators I observed before I even approached your table, Denise said. I can, and I am. I will have your license. I have contacts. You're welcome to make calls, Denise said. Right now, I'm focused on Noah. She turned to the woman. I'm Rachel, right? The woman had given her name at some point. Rachel Moss sat in the booth looking like someone who had forgotten she was allowed to stand up. You have the right to come with your son tonight. You also have the right to stay. Whatever you decide, Noah will be safe. Rachel looked at Moss. Then she looked at her son, standing beside Denise at the counter, small, scared, but holding Denise's hand. Mom, Noah said quietly. Please. Rachel stood. Her chair scraped back. Her hands were shaking. Moss grabbed her wrist. Sit down, Rachel. Stone's hand closed over Moss's forearm before the word down finished leaving his mouth. Let go of her arm. Moss wheeled and threw a punch. Stone had seen it coming 2 seconds before it landed. He'd read the shoulder drop, the weight shift. He rolled back, let it pass, and with Diesel and Ghost flanking him instantly, the 3 of them formed a wall that no single man was getting through. You've committed assault in a room full of witnesses, Ghost said, voice flat and even. There are at least 4 phones recording right now. Whatever you think your position gives you, it won't cover this." Moss looked around wildly. Ghost was right. June had her phone out. 2 booths over, a man in a flannel shirt hadn't lowered his camera once. The diner had gone completely silent. Denise moved without rushing. She walked Noah and Rachel to the exit, her hands steady on both of them. "My car is right out front," she said softly. "Let's go." Chaplin held the door. The police arrived 6 minutes later. The Iron Ridge MC waited calmly in the parking lot, hands visible. Stone walked the first officer through it step by step: the signal, the call, the advocate, the assault. 3 other diners corroborated without being asked. A second officer pulled Stone aside. "You Colton Hargrove? Iron Ridge?" "Yeah. I know your chapter. You all did the shelter ride last month." He paused. "I know Gary Moss, too. Not officially. He's been on our radar, works as a county procurement officer, uses it to make himself seem untouchable. If that kid talks, this gets a lot bigger than tonight." Stone got the call from Denise at 10:47 p.m. "Noah's at the Family Crisis Center. Rachel is with him, and she's talking. A lot." Turns out Moss had isolated them completely over 2 years. No family contact. Controlled Rachel's finances. The things Noah described. She paused. "He's been living in fear every day." "How's he doing?" "He ate 2 bowls of cereal and asked if he could watch cartoons. So, as okay as an 8-year-old can be." Stone exhaled slowly. "What happened to Moss?" "He's in custody." Rachel's given a full statement. And Stone, this morning, she mentioned a group. An online forum Moss referenced more than once. Men like him, coordinating, sharing tactics. She doesn't know the details, but she knows the name, the corridor. The next morning, the 5 veterans sat in Denise's office. She looked like she'd been there all night. Noah's intake evaluation had confirmed what no one wanted confirmed: signs of chronic abuse spanning at least 18 months. A forensic child specialist had documented everything. Denise opened a folder. Rachel gave investigators 3 usernames Moss mentioned from this forum. "We've already matched 2 to real people. One is a middle school vice principal in Chattanooga. One is a county health inspector in Nashville. Both have stepchildren. Both have 0 prior record." Ghost leaned forward. "Coordinated." That's what investigators believe. Moss wasn't improvising. He was following a playbook. The chaplain was quiet for a moment. "How do we help?" "The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation is leading. They want your testimony, documented timelines, exact behavior you observed. And they've asked whether you'd be willing to consult on training. Help law enforcement and school staff recognize what you recognized last night." Stone looked at his brothers. One by one, they nodded. "We're in," he said. The investigation moved fast. Within 6 weeks, 7 members of the corridor had been identified and arrested across 4 states. The 2 additional men Rachel had named were among them. The forum had been operating for 5 years, using encrypted channels to share control tactics, warn each other about active investigations, and even coordinate custody situations to complicate legal intervention. The media coverage was national within days. The story of 5 bikers who'd recognized an 8-year-old's silent signal and had the training and the instinct to act became the human face of a much larger story. Noah and Rachel were placed in safe housing. Denise kept the MC updated. "He's resilient," she told Stone 3 months later. He started 2nd grade at the new school. His teacher says he raised his hand voluntarily in class for the first time last week. She paused. "He talks about you guys. He calls you the big guys who were watching." Stone had to clear his throat before he could answer. "He's got people watching now," he said. "He always will." 6 months after May's Corner Diner, all 7 corridor members had been convicted. Gary Moss received 38 years. The others received comparable sentences. Rachel Moss, who had filed for divorce while Moss was still in custody, found her footing slowly but steadily. She started attending a survivors group, then eventually co-facilitating it. She had her own apartment, a job, and for the first time in years, a door that only she had the key to. The Iron Ridge MC partnered with 3 Tennessee school districts to teach staff, parents, and older students how to recognize distress signals in children. The wrist tap, the hand-over-fist signal, and a half-dozen others that had gained recognition through child safety organizations. Stone did interviews. Chaplin led workshops. Ghost designed a 1-page reference card that ended up in the break rooms of dozens of restaurants and diners across the state. Because that's where it had started, a diner. A little boy. A 3-tap signal that almost no one saw. 8 months after that Saturday in Mays, the Iron Ridge MC received an envelope postmarked from a return address they recognized. Inside was a drawing on construction paper, 5 figures on motorcycles, and a small stick figure with sandy hair giving a thumbs up. Below it, in careful 2nd grade handwriting, "Thank you for seeing me. I didn't think anyone would. Noah." On the back, in Rachel's handwriting, he insisted on drawing them individually. He asked me to tell him, he's not scared anymore. He says when he grows up he wants to be one of the guys who watches. We are safe because of you. Thank you will never be enough, but thank you. Stone had the drawing framed and hung it in the Iron Ridge clubhouse, above the plaque that listed the names of their members who hadn't come home from overseas. He looked at it sometimes when the nights got long. They'd spent years fighting for a country. Now they were fighting for the people inside it. 1 diner, 1 signal, 1 child at a time. And if Noah could sleep tonight without fear, if 23 other children freed in the corridor investigation could wake up in safe homes, then all of it meant something. The signal had been sent. They had seen it. That was enough. That would always be enough.